Welcome guys. Right, so up until now I've been doing these shorter videos, about 10 minutes roughly in length, that you've had over the last couple of days regarding this. But if I keep doing those, this restoration is going to be a million videos long, right? So from this video forwards, we're going to go to a longer format, try and keep them half an hour, 45 minutes in length, so they're not too much, but I can squeeze more in, get more progress done per videos. And that would be great. So today we are working on the chassis and we are working on the filter board. So do enjoy that. There you go. Right, so I've made a decision. I've been cleaning this chassis for quite a while now, and it's pretty much as clean as I'm going to get it. This is all just staining on the chassis itself now, and there's not much more dirt and grub to actually come off it. I shall show you, because I know the internet very rarely believes what the other people on the internet say. So a bit of IPA in a bottle. See, not much left to come off. But the more and more I do this, the less dirty it gets. So we're getting to the point now where it's almost ready to go. I'll run it back through the dishwasher anyway, but I've decided I want to keep a bit of stink on it, a bit of stank. Keep it a little bit dirty looking, not actually dirty, just dirty looking. Because I still want it to have an old vintage vibe to it. I don't want it to be immaculately clean. And if I go any further, as I said in another video, I'm going to start losing all the markings and things on it. So yeah, I want to keep it relatively patinaed. So I'm not going to have it acid dipped. I'm not going to have it zinc plated. I'm just going to kind of keep it in this sort of condition. But it's good now. It's no worse than any other old fender now. The only thing I do need to do is work out what I'm going to do about the rust. That's still on my to-do list. So that's where I am with that. So I'm going to start the rebuild. And as you've seen before, I've already done the main circuit board, which is going to sit in there like that. Okay. I made my bias and rectifier board up, which goes this way. Or is it this way? Goes one of those ways anyway. Goes in there like that. Unfortunately, all of the old valve sockets, both the octal and the novels, they're gone. They're too far gone. The pins inside on the octals, nearly every single one of them, they've lost all their tension. They're not serviceable anymore. So whilst it would be nice to have saved them and rescued them, it's not going to work. So I've got 4 of my ceramics that I prefer to use. You know, I like to use the ceramics for the high heat valves. So they're going to get installed with the original clamps once these are cleaned up. So I still need to clean these up. They can go through the ultrasonic cleaner, no problem whatsoever. The original Novel preamp sockets are even worse condition. So we're going to get 3 new Beltons in there. That'd be nice. Pots. The original pots are just too far gone. You know, I had intended to clean them up, do all that kind of stuff, try and reuse as much of them as possible, but you can buy the correct J-taper pots from CTS in dimpleback, which I really like. You know, proper brass bushing and thread, nice and stable, really, really good pot now. So I've got a whole new set of those. We're going to go to adjustable bias on this rather than the bias balance, so we're going to have to deal with that. And I am, because the power transformer does not have a center tap on the heater winding, I am going to keep the hum balance circuit. So the only place I could get one of those was from Tubant Doctor in Germany, which was fine, because at the same time I ordered myself a quad of the new red base 6L6s. Now, I normally go for the short bottle stuff, but they've now released the STR version, the tall bottle, which will be really interesting to give it a go, because something new. We'll try them out, see if we like them. So I got some valves on order along with my pot. So that's going to go in there. Need to clean up the face plates and all that sort of stuff. Going to try and reuse as much of the original stuff as well. I'm going to get rid of the line out for recording. Don't need that. And for those that don't know, the original lamp, where's the face plate actually? The rear plate it's got your standard 2 speaker sockets labelled 4 ohm and 4 ohm, but they're actually one's 4 ohm, one's 16 ohm, 8 ohm, because it had that special switching jack on the back, so it wired into the 8 ohm tap. Now I'm never a fan of that sort of switching system. It's why those effects loops, always start to fail, because the switching contacts get dirty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a single 4 ohm out and a single 8 ohm out, completely separate from each other. No switching involved. It means I can't run 2 cabinets at the same time, but that's fine. I don't want to. I'm having my 2x12 cabinet made. That's fine. As I said, we're getting rid of the line out for recording. We're not having the bias pot there, so we'll just blank that off. We are keeping the hum balance though. I can reuse the original fuse fuse holder for the mains fuse, but I will be adding a HT fuse inside the chassis. So if we ever get a failure, that'll offer some extra protection to it. What about the other faceplate? The front one, well, it's in pretty poor condition, but it's still legible. It's still not bad, so we're going to reuse it. I can't find a replacement anyway, but it's part of the history of the amp. So I think we will just clean it up the best we can and reuse it, which is a nice idea. I've shown we've tested the transformers, they're all good. The only thing left that I need to do before I can start the rebuild proper is the filter board, which sits on the back. Grab the original. Now my FR4, I always cut down to 2.5 inches wide, because that's the dimensions I like to work in. It keeps everything simple and easy. The original filter board, as you can see, is a lot wider than that. In fact, what is it? 3 3/4 inches wide by 7 1/8 long. But modern caps just aren't as big as that. So on this board, which is 7 inches wide, I think I've made it. So it's still going to fit under the doghouse. I'll be able to get all my caps on there. I'm just waiting for them to arrive so I can measure the size and then adjust the spacing on my design. So that's the only board left that I need to get built. Got all the original knobs bar one, so I do need to find an original Fender 70s knob. I don't want to use a reissue one. I want to see if I can find an original. I will. I think that'd be nice. But yeah, that's the plan for this rebuild. So once I've got this board done, I can done my final work on the chassis. Not far off now. I've already done some straightening out of the lip and whatnot. I can actually get the rebuild started on this. Get my sockets in, get my transformers back in. I'm not going to use the original plastic grommets. I'm going to use my rubber ones that I prefer. The only thing I will need to do is work out where my bias pot inside the chassis is going to go. Now, if I look at this schematic, It will go in. Yeah, we'll have to do it in. No, yeah, we could just put it inside the chassis. So I can get a standard 10k pot mounted inside the chassis somewhere. Can we work out where that might go? You're going to go there. You're going to go there. We could have it up here, couldn't we? That's the master volume there. So could we have it there in between the master volume and the... Yeah, that'd be a nice place for it, about here. So I will need to drill a hole to mount it, but that's fine. That's not a problem. I don't want to have it on the back panel where the original bias adjustment was, because that means I've got to run wires across that I don't want to. Because every unnecessarily long wire acts like an aerial. So there we go. Oh yeah, one more thing. One more thing. The transformers. They're quite rusty. So I'm tempted to remove the end bells, clean them up and repaint them. We're still going to get to see the markings on them. That won't become invisible. But I'm also tempted to leave them as they are. So, that's my only decision to make, is what I do with these. Do I make them look nice and tidy, or do I keep them in this gnarly state? Right, so I'm just here working on the filter board design for the basement, and I always like to draw in 1:1 scale on this program, DIYLC, if you're interested. And the board that I'm using, or I'm going to use, is 7 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall. I think I've already explained why I work at 2.5 inches, and I'm just working on the spacing, but because I'm working in 1:1 scale, I need to have the exact size of the capacitors that I want to use. And finally got my stock of F&Ts back. No, finally got my F&Ts back in stock. Yeah, that's right. So I'm just going to set you down here. And we're going to take some measurements. So 3 different size caps on here. Now I did look up on the data sheet the sizes, but things do change, so we need to make sure we get them right. So we'll start with the smallest of the caps, which is on the original amp it was a 70 microfarad 100 volt cap using the bias supply. Well, I'm using hundreds. I'm going to smooth that bias supply out ever so slightly further or more. So we've got 2 of those there. Even though I like to work in inches, the caps work best being sized in millimeters for some reason. So that one there is 30.2, we'll call it. 30.2 by 10.2. So I can go on here and say 30 by 10. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. Okay, the next one, the 22 microfarad 500 volter, measures 38 by 18. Make sure that's what we've got on here. That says 30 by 18, but this one is 38. Definitely 38. Yeah, 38 by 18. So 38. 38. There's 3 of them, so I need to adjust all 3. And finally, the 220 microfarad 350 volt caps. These are much smaller than the originals. So we're going 40 by 25. And I had on here 38 by 25. So we'll go with 40. Okay, so I know it's a weird angle, and hopefully you don't get too much of this banding here. This is all camera issues. It's not actually on the screen. But okay, so the caps are now two sized. Now, what do I want to do? I'm tempted to close up these spaces here, but also, so you know, for example, I could shift that one over like that, stack those closer together. We could move those in slightly. We've got a bit more separation between them. Do I like that? No. I tell you why. Because I want to future-proof what I'm doing. And so in the future, cap sizes might change slightly. So I need to make sure I'm giving myself enough tolerance so in the future I'm not stuck, because you know, length and width of caps is always changing. Things happen, but this is going to work fine as my board now. So now I can print this off, drill my filter board out, and build it to this spec. Okay, so that's now printed off 1:1 scale. You can see the board fits perfectly over that. So it is indeed 1:1 scale. And the caps are perfectly sized on there. Come on, behave. That one there, one of the big ones, one of the small ones. Yeah, see how that works? Cool. So now I get the good scissors. So I've got two sets of scissors in the workshop. I'm sure I've told people this before. These are what I call the good scissors. These are for any job that doesn't involve any adhesive. So no sellotape, no masking tape, no nothing. These crap scissors, as I call them, can be used on anything like that. So they've always got like tape residue and stuff on. They're there for cutting out stuff like that. But the good scissors, what we use here. I can stick that on there. And I like to use, I haven't done a very good job of that, have I? Stick that on there, and then I can use that as a drilling template for all my bits and pieces. Okay, time to deal with the chassis and the rust that we have got. We've got a couple of rust spots on the chassis that I want to treat, both on the outside and the inside. And I've looked online, lots of different options. And the one that I'm going to try is Hammerite Q-Rust, or Q-Rust, maybe? Don't know. Transforms rust to a stable surface in 15 minutes. Simple to apply, no need to rinse off. So, sounds perfect to me. We'll give it a go. And it says on the back, Step 1, ensure surface is clean and free from loose rust, paint, oil and grease. Use a wire brush to remove loose paint or rust. Well, we're going to do that. Degrease where necessary with white spirits. So before we get to step 2, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get one of my wire brushes, stick it on the drill, and give it a go. Right, I'm going to start with the outside of the chassis first, do these spots. And it says, shake container well and pour the required amount into a plastic container. Do I have a spare plastic container? Yes, I do. I do. I don't know how much I need though, that's the problem. Start with that much? Yeah. Okay. Brush directly onto the rusty area, working well into any pitted areas, corners and edges. Avoid coating onto painted areas. Okay. Right, brush. Where's my little brush? Watch as the Hammerite Q-Rust or Q-Rust turns blue/black while reacting with the rust. Okay. Got enough lighting on there? Yeah. So, we'll give it the old toothbrush treatment. Is that enough? Don't know. It's quite a lot here, actually. Is that enough? What do you think? It looks more than enough to me. Okay. All right. Fine. Let's pop the rest back in the pot. Right, so it says watch as the hammer actually rust turns blue-black whilst reacting with the rust. Okay, so that should be happening. If the area does not change colour, reapply within 1 hour. Apply top coat after 3 hours. Most solvent-based top coats are suitable. If in doubt, test the area first. Wash brushes and equipment in clean water immediately after use. Right, well, I'm going to go clean my brushes and my pot while I leave you on time lapse. Right, so it's had half an hour now, and it says 15 minutes, so I think I put too much on. There's still some remaining, but I'm just going to clean it up because I don't think we're going to need that. But it looks like it's done a pretty good job. It's turned this rust black, though it has stained everything, so I guess I'll leave it for 3 hours, and then what do you do? Come back and clean the rest of it? I don't know. So that's what it's done. I mean, it's definitely converted the rust, but I don't think it looks any better than we started. I guess I need to clean it. So it does say leave it for now at a total of 3 hours, and then yeah, I'll come back tomorrow and see what it looks like. Right, so it's the next day. It's been left overnight, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. You know, I mean, it's definitely dealt with the rust, doesn't it? But does it look good? No, it looks terrible. I'm not happy with this at all. Mistakes I made, let's be honest, I used too much. So we've got this red staining around here. So maybe I could have applied it with a Q-tip. That's what I think I'll do on the inside. But it is what it is. I mean, it's going to be covered by the doghouse anyway. But what I think I should do is get the drill back on it and just see what happens if I try cleaning it up again. I mean, it can't end up any worse than it is now, right? Or if it does, we'll keep going at it. But yeah. I think it's more down to user error than the quality of that product, but we'll see. Anyway, let's give it another clean up. We'll just do this bit first, the worst bit, and see how it comes out. Oh, okay. Not too bad. Let's keep going. Still not convinced. And a lot comes off. It looks worse on camera than it actually is, I think. See, it's definitely done something. I guess what you would do if it was anything else would then paint over it, wouldn't you? But here we are. Experiments in rust removal. Well, that bit's actually cleaned up quite nicely. Okay. What do you think? I think what I need to do is just go over all the area with the red staining, and I think that will come up and get rid of the red staining, and it will look much better, I think. And then what do we do? Just a light clear coat or something? I don't know. But at least that rust is now being treated. Just doesn't look very good. Doesn't look appealing at the moment, does it? Oh well. Right, I'll keep going. Right, I've used a different wheel on it now, and it's cleaned up really well. That's much better. It's not perfect, but it's really cleaned it up. Quite happy with that. And those rust spots, you can tell where they were, but they're not It's quite shiny. The camera's struggling. So yeah, I think because we're now down to bare metal, we are going to have to protect this slightly. So maybe just a light clear coat. I'll mask it off. But you see, now I'm tempted to do the rest of the... No, we'll leave it as it is. We'll go too far at that point. But that's come up quite nicely, actually. Quite happy with that. It's not bad. Not bad at all. If I move the camera around, you can kind of see in different light. That's a vast improvement, I think. Anyway, right, so need to do the rust spots on the inside, and then one final chassis wash. Then what I need to do is do my IEC hole. Then I can start reassembly. So overall, I think it's coming on a lot better than it was 20 minutes ago. Right, so we're going to try it now with Q-tips to apply it. So I can be a bit more accurate and localized with it. There we go. Over here as well. That's better, look at that. Yeah. Perfect. Right, we'll leave that. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you're enjoying this Christmas special, something a bit different from the usual. As I said, we're going to get more longer videos now to try and speed up the progress for you guys. But they won't be coming out on a daily basis anymore. So, look out for these in the coming future. But they are all going to be separate on a separate playlist from all of the standard riff content, so you know where to find everything. And of course, everything's going to be labelled Christmas special. I think once we get past the new year, however, I might just rename it Basement Rebuild or something similar. But there we go. So yeah, please give this video a thumbs up, comments and questions down below, subscribe, join the channel, etc, etc, etc. We'll catch you at the next one.